hot topic for the last couple of years has been that of Agile project management. And whilst you could use Agile to do project management, it's kind of a misnomer. It usually means that we believe we can use Agile to deliver our projects on time with all the scope and within budget, which is absolutely understandable if you haven't built that acumen yet about different kinds of problems around complexity. Because what project management is all about, it's about solving tricky problems where the link between cause and effect is knowable up front, which means provided you bring all the right people together who might be able to figure out what that linkage is, and you plan enough, you think it through well enough, you can get to the result you want predictably using good practices. Agile is a response to the realization that those aren't all the problems we have. Some of the problems we're dealing with, in fact, most of the problems we're dealing with in the modern working environment are what we call complex problems. They are the problems where the link between cause and effect is not knowable up front. You have to do some stuff. You have to poke at the work to see how it responds so you can find the links between what you do and what actually gets you closer to where you want to go. And that means that traditional approach of project management simply doesn't serve us as well as it used to, because it's not intended for that kind of problem solving. If you bring in lots of experts and you plan it to the nth degree and you try and execute that plan, again, because you couldn't find the links before you started, by the time you start changing things around, you're realizing that your plan is not going to serve you because the stuff has changed around you. What you thought was going to work isn't working. And now you have to adapt and change that plan in response to that. And that's what Agile is all about. It's about that adaptability, the ability to respond to change. And I dare say business agility is the ability to capitalize on change and use it as a competitive advantage instead of something that is being done to, right? Something you have to suffer through. So that transition happened kind of from the 90s to the early 2000s, and it's really become, as you might know, the talk of the town at this point. You can see talk about Agile in almost every organization in business, and more people are getting training in it and learning about it so they can use it themselves. And the way I like to explain it, it's a little bit like we were all carpenters. We all had hammers, and we were using hammers for everything. We had nails, we had screws, we had nuts. We were just hammering them all. And now we realize that there's this thing called a complex problem, and you can use a screwdriver to drive in those screws instead of a hammer. And it leaves much less of a mess, and it makes your life much easier when you do so. And you're much more likely to get the result you want. So everyone's now out buying screwdrivers, which is why you might be hearing so much about Agile. It's not a silver bullet, right? It's not going to solve all your problems. It's not going to build a house for you. It's just a tool that might help you get there. And you want more tools so you can solve different kinds of problems as you encounter them. So what is the way to think about it then? Well, project management is still good. It's still useful for complicated problems. This is the Cynefin framework by Dave Snowden. It's a really good framework for understanding different kinds of problems. And it's what he calls an ordered problem, which means that the link between cause and effect is knowable up front. Project management for that is fantastic. It's what it was designed for. When you're dealing with complex problems, when the link between cause and effect is no longer knowable up front before you do the work, but you have to do some work to see how it responds and then react accordingly, to respond, to adapt, dare I say, and be agile in that environment where things are changing around you as you're learning about what works and doesn't work, you need that agile approach. You need that different approach where project management no longer serves you. Now, you might work in a project that's a large project, multiple teams, multiple things happening around you. And most of the work you're doing is complicated. It is predictable. But part of it might be complex. So you might be 1 out of 20 teams doing Scrum, and everyone else is working with project management. That's okay. That's the reality of the world we live in. Or vice versa. You might be in an Agile organization where most teams are working with Scrum and Agile approaches, but one team is working with a traditional project management approach. And that might be the right choice for them. The key thing is to figure out what problems are you dealing with, what tools do you need, and what tools do you have to deal with those. And if you don't have the tools, make sure you go out and buy one. All right. Thank you very much for watching. And if you like what you saw and you want to hear more about what I've got to say in the future on similar questions, or if you have a question yourself, please reach out to me on LinkedIn. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me. You can also email me at oscar.stife@pragmaticshift.com. Please do like the video, share it with others if you think they might benefit from it, or follow my profile to see stuff as they come out as well. And I would love to be your Scrum trainer. So please find my content on pragmaticshift.com. You can find the courses I've scheduled for the year, or on scrum.org.com as well. Look forward to seeing you in my classroom soon.